Well, I don't blame the Big Three for skipping Miami one little bit this year, 2021. In fact, I think it was a great idea. Just think about where Miami's been and where it is today. Only a few years ago, it was that lovely tropical paradise, Key Biscayne Island. But no, that was old. It was too old for James Blake and the gang, so they had to move it to the street racing hub. If you've been watching the early rounds, you know what I'm talking about with the loud engines roaring in the middle of the tennis. That was a lovely touch. Now that they've moved it to the lovely Miami Gardens area, they did that just in time for COVID. So that's always a great omen. And now, take a look at it. It looks nice. It does look nice. In fact, it looked great right here with Sasha Zverev was all smiles early on in his match yesterday. But what did he get for his trouble coming down to Miami? First, he travels with quite an entourage. He brings his brother, his mom, his father, coaches, who knows who else. And what did he get for his first round loss? $10,000. 10,000 lousy dollars. In Sasha Zverev world, that's a tiny number. Is it second round, actually? Mr. Goat's telling me in my ear that it was second round because he has a seeding, even though it was his first match. $16,000. Doesn't make a difference to Sasha Zverev. And who did he lose to? All this trouble traveling across the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. Who did he lose to? This guy, Emil. I think he's from Helsinki there at the bottom. Look, that's really close to Stockholm, Sweden, where that little girl Greta Thunberg is from. Take a look at him. They practically look the same. Let's take a look at that prize money again. Sasha Zverev went to Miami across the world to lose to Greta Thunberg and get $16,000. Not worth it. But he's got a little bit of that Big Three money, a little slice, right? He's got endorsement money. Nick Kyrgios, one of the few players in the top 100 who has anything that's kind of like the world of the Big Three with that kind of endorsement money. So it doesn't matter as much for Zverev. It's a real bummer. Should have skipped it. Should have been smart like the Big Three, Sasha Zverev. But let's take a look at some other players on the other side of the top 50 who they got to keep grinding. They got to go suck it up like John Isner and say, okay, I got to make this money this time of year. I don't get all that endorsement money like the Big Three and some of the next-gen guys that companies are betting on by giving them the kind of endorsement deals, thinking this could be the next Big Three caliber player, right? Not everyone has that. Like Pospisil, he had a bad day. Vasek Pospisil, take a look at this.
Yeah. This is not a good sign. Oh, well, I mean, this can't go on.
Having a bad day out there, Vasek Pospisil. He's really feeling the grind of the tour and the way travel's so much tougher. It's a mentally tougher sport to play right now. For less money, more pressure, a more difficult time traveling around the world, all the quarantining and nasal swabbing that you're taking. And then he name drops that he was having a meeting yesterday with the chairman, the leader, as he says, the leader of the ATP.
An hour and a half yesterday, the chair of ATP screaming at me in a player meeting for trying to unite the players. For an hour and a half. The leader of the ATP. Get him out of here.
What do we have to do with that?
Fucking asshole.
Do you know who I am, sir? I am trying to unite the players of the ATP and the chairman, the leader of the ATP.
If you want to default me, I'll gladly sue this whole organization.
And hold on, freeze the tape right there. This is where Pospisil loses everybody, or should lose everybody. Like Janko Tipsarevic was saying a long time ago, Djokovic, why do you put yourself through all this player council stuff, the ATP inside politics? Just focus on your game. You can make a lot of money just from playing tennis, rather than trying to manage a union for tennis or something like that. Save yourself the headache. You could feel that Pospisil, he thinks he's trying to do something to help other players in the tour, and he probably is. A lot of players seem to support him, but still, he loses me here when he does this. And just look at Mackie McDonald's face when he says these words. It reminds me a little bit of Serena Williams at the U.S. Open a few years ago. Watch Mackie McDonald at the end and his face.
Why am I like supporting this?
Please, again.
If you want to default me, I'll gladly sue this whole organization.
Go ahead, default me. I'll sue everyone. I'll sue you. I'll sue this whole organization. Do you know who I am? I am on the player council. I'll sue you, Mr. Umpire. I'll sue everybody. Who's that? Who's that in the crowd? Are you laughing? I'll sue you. I'll sue you, buddy. Mackie McDonald's like, what are you going to sue him for? But you know what? Maybe the Popsicle is under a lot of pressure because of his very important position with the ATP Player Council or the PTPPTTA, whatever it is, the new one that they made that's not officially recognized. Maybe all that is weighing on Mr. Popsicle. Let's look at someone a little more likable, a little more relatable. Here is another player on the other end of the top 50, the lower end. Everyone loves Pierre-Hugues Herbert, and he had a little bit of a tantrum, but I think everyone would support what he was saying. It makes a lot of sense. Take a listen.
No, it's, you know, imagine it's change of ends, change of balls. They have to go from there to there. Look.
That's the rule.
No, but he's like so fast. I mean, it's 30 degrees and you're like so fast. You're the fastest on Earth. No, but you're the fastest on Earth. You know that. You're the fastest umpire on Earth. Like nobody's as fast as you.
Did you hear that? Felix Auger, he comes in. I wrote it down here. He says, me as well. Then I can't hear what he's saying next, but at some point he says, it's ridiculous. And of course, the greatest line of all time comes after that. You're the fastest umpire in all of the earth. Wait, no, that's not the greatest line. The greatest line comes after that.
I'm gonna look it afterwards, but at some point, are you gonna try to think about it, about yourself, and try to see it inside, maybe if you're a bit too fast?
It's not my decision.
No? You're not gonna look into yourself and try to see inside of yourself?
Look inside yourself. Tell me what you see. That is like the most French thing I've ever heard in my life. Maybe I'm going to look inside myself right now. And then Pierre-Hugues Herbert, he goes on to make a great argument. He says, I go to the net. I need more time. The ATP doesn't want serve and volley. Every week, it's a slower surface. Let everyone know. You don't want serve and volley. You want them all to play at the baseline. The way they start the clock, now that you have to get your own towel, it's an ordeal. It's a big hassle. The big three, they don't want to deal with it any more than they have to. Geez, just get those vaccines in the arms and let's go back to normal already.
I already explained to you.
Slower every surface, every week. And then if I have to come to the net, I have always 10 meters more to do every time.
No.
So you know what? Next time, just tell everybody they have to play baseline. It's better like this.
I told you before, I started
Just you don't need, you don't need to answer. Just do your job and count the score. Right.
It's great stuff. And it makes sense that a lot of players are really feeling it. They're feeling the grind. The grind got a whole lot tougher. The prize money went down. And they don't have that big three money or that bet on a next gen type player endorsement money, that Nick Kyrgios. I don't need results anymore, so I can just stay in Australia because I got millions of dollars of endorsement money. It's very difficult for these players who don't have that. And I actually do feel for them. Maybe it's not the best time to complain about playing a sport while still making money, but I understand, especially with Pierre-Hugues Herbert. But despite all of these things, there's a bigger story than all of this. With all of the pressure of a new position, a more important position than Vasek Pospisil's. I'm talking about the position occupied by the big three for the last 20 years almost. Number 2 in the world. He is officially the big dog here. Zverev is out, of course. He won in Acapulco, but he's out. Tsitsipas is around, but he didn't look too good in his final against Sasha Zverev. So it all comes down to this man. And when you have a new role as number 2 in the world, you're feeling that pressure. Sometimes you need a sidekick, you need a friend. It's like Mr. Hat from South Park. It's Miami Med. He's a bad man. Welcome to Coffee Break Tennis. Today on the show, we've got a whole lot of stuff. Of course, we're going to go through the Miami draw. We're going to try our best to care. As Peter Freeman said, this one sucks. Who cares? Or he said, I'm paraphrasing. He said something kind of like that. But without the big three there, it's as John Isner put it, this tournament, Miami, is going to be a litmus test to see in viewership and how much people care. What is going on up there? Something's going on with Shapovalov. I hope he had a meltdown too. We'll have a video of the Shapo meltdown tomorrow. I guarantee it. Anyways, Pete Freeman said, it's a little harder to care about. John Isner saying we're going to find out how much people care about tennis without the big three, because this is a big tournament with no sign of them. And even better right here, Roberto Bautista Agut. For me, he summarized it the best. He says, I hope that he can compete, Roger Federer he's talking about, as long as possible, because Roger, Rafa, and Novak, they make tennis more popular and more importantly, more important. Because if it's not important, no one cares and no one watches. So we'll talk about that today on the show. Also, Danny Medvedev, he talks about the mustache. Must hear quotations about the mustache from Danny Medvedev. Also, some stats talking about why Medvedev has been winning so much. He does deserve to be at number 2 in the world. Sure, he didn't put a dent in, it must be a rain delay going on up there with Shapovalov or something. He didn't even put a dent in the final in Djokovic at the Aussie Open, but who knows how long we'll have the big three around. And Medvedev sure will put a dent at least in everybody else on tour. Djokovic, he had to defend his friend Vajic at the Pospisil. So we'll talk about what Djokovic had to say about the meltdown. Of course, Pospisil, he had a big apology. What do you know? In the age of the apology, Mr. Pospisil had to have an apology. And then finally, Andre Agassi weighs in on the GOAT debate and explains why he no longer coaches Novak Djokovic. Watch out with, what's his name, Seb Korda, because Andre Agassi, remember after he messed up Djokovic's game, he went and screwed up Dimitrov's game, and now he's screwing up Korda's game. I think Korda plays in just a little bit. We'll see what happens to that. All that and nothing else on today's edition of Coffee Break Tennis. All right, so let's get into the draw and talk about who will be playing tomorrow, who is in. Obviously, a big upset with Zverev. I should have mentioned that in the music. We're going to take a look at court positioning with Sasha Zverev. I think it's a big thing. He is successful despite it. That's how talented the guy is. So I had a great idea, and I'm going to show you something without using video, using magic, using images, still images, but a series of still images that follow in a sequence, kind of like you saw earlier with Medvedev. It's not video, it's something kind of close. We'll take a look at that and compare Zverev's court positioning to some other players and what he likes to do in a rally, some of his tendencies. Looking at the draw, Medvedev will play Popeye the Sailor Man, who took down Riley Opelka, who you always hear is going to be in the top 10 for sure. Okay. Opelka's out, 6-4, 6-2 to Popeye. Medvedev will take him out next. Below that, he could get Tiafoe or Duzilajevic. This is looking good for Medvedev here. What if he loses next round, Matt? You'll sound like an idiot. Felix Auger, who came through with Herbert, was able to not deal with any crazy nerves there. Not like how he threw the match away against Tsitsipas. What a good match in Acapulco, Mexico. Did you see that match? Tsitsipas and Felix Auger. There were moments in that match where I'm watching it, I'm like, is this the next like Federer-Nadal type rivalry in tennis, 5 years from now? Is this going to be something we're all savoring? And at moments, I kind of tricked myself into thinking, wow, this is that kind of level of tennis. This is really amazing. And then you see, Tsitsipas a little choky in that match. And then I think at 4-all, was it in both sets? Definitely in the second set. It was almost the same game at 4-all. I think Auger serves at both of them. It has double faults at bad times, like we saw with Zverev yesterday. I think Zverev only had 7 double faults, but they were at the worst times. You don't want to have a double fault at the beginning of a game because that sets the tone. It lets your opponent know that you're not on top of things from the get-go. So that's bad. That was the kind of double fault Sasha Zverev had, and Felix sometimes too. But the main one, the real killer for me that Felix had plenty of and that Sasha Zverev also had, are the ones at the end when it's break point. Second serve, break point. You got to make that serve. When you double fault and you do it multiple times in a match, it really hurts. So, yeah, only 7 for Zverev yesterday, but at the worst possible times. And, yeah, throwing in double faults at 4-all in the first and second sets. Pretty sure it was both yesterday for Felix all day. Not good. Not going to win in that match. So, Felix, that was against Tsitsipas in Mexico yesterday against Pierre-Hugues Herbert, as you saw in the beginning of the show. Didn't see that from Felix. Looked a lot better. He wins 6-4, 6-4. He gets John Isner next. That's actually kind of funny. That's a rematch from the semifinals where the same thing happened. Felix Auger, he did that in 2019, had a chance to go to the final of a Masters as I'm pretty sure he qualified that year. And he had, I think it was a tiebreak. He had chances to win, and then he throws in double faults at the worst times. Against John Isner, if you do that at 5-all, 4-all or something in a tiebreak, and then John Isner has the serve coming soon to seal the deal, he tends to seal the deal with the big serve. So that'll be an interesting match to watch tomorrow. Struff, and Batista Agut come through there. So you'll see these hungry guys like Struff, who needs some success right here. Batista Agut needs it. John Isner needs it. All those guys in the same section with Felix Auger, and then they all run into Medvedev. That's tough. We'll see if any of them, Batista Agut's good here. Maybe he could give Medvedev a real match. Below that would have been Sasha Zverev's a quarter of the draw, but now it's my friend Emil. I used to have a friend from Finland named Jarkko. Now I have a friend called Emil. I like him, a Ruusuvuori. Kind of plays a lot like Jannik Sinner in that match. We'll talk about, I'm going to go through the rest of the drop, then we'll look at Zverev and Ruusuvuori's match and talk about that a little bit more, go through a couple stories and get out of here. But he kind of looks a little like Jannik Sinner the way Ruusuvuori plays, and is a pretty dangerous young player, pretty good at everything. I haven't watched him a whole lot, but he's had some big wins. He's undefeated now against both Dominic Thiem and Sasha Zverev. He took out Monfils at the Australian Open earlier, and when you watch him, he almost seems like maybe he's a little better at the net than Jannik Sinner, a little better with a thing like a drop shot than Jannik Sinner, but the way he moves around the court and strikes the ball, forehand and backhand to serve, kind of reminds me of Jannik Sinner, and he kind of treated Sasha Zverev the way Jannik Sinner does when he's beat him in the past, just kind of crushing the ball and taking it early and taking advantage of the disadvantage that Sasha Zverev loves to surrender ground. He can do it with a lot of low-ranked players and win. He's that good. But when you do it against someone, big three quality who's going for it, or this guy, Ruusuvuori, who was really going for it, taking the ball early and hitting it huge like Jannik Sinner likes to do it, you're giving the opponent the chance to take it away from you, and you can't do it when they're actually capable of taking it. He'll play a guy from Sweden. What do you know? Michael Emer. Like to see him get through and play Jannik Sinner. Would love to see them both. He's going to play Karen Khachanov. It's officially rained out in Miami, so hopefully we'll get this video up pretty soon before they even can finish the matches. Khachanov and Sinner, they've played a lot. Sinner almost took Khachanov out at the U.S. Open. I think he was up 2-0 in no time, and then loses a tight fifth set last year, 2020 U.S. Open, with no fans U.S. Open that was. Dimitrov, trouble with the serve, and he is out to Cam Norrie, 7-5, 7-5. So disappointing to see Dimitrov struggle, but Cam Norrie seems like a good dude, and he's got an interesting game. Not the most boring player in the world, that's for sure. Cam Norrie's through after Dimitrov upset there. I guess you can call that an upset. Taylor Fritz took out Marcus Giron, 6-2, 6-2, and he'll play Cam Norrie. I like him to come through there. Bublik and Ducky, that's a good story. Not a good story for David Goffin, but Ducky, Duckworth from Australia, he is coming through. Then on the bottom half of the draw, Diego Schwartzman, I don't know, I guess he hasn't played yet. He's going to play later. We'll see with all that rain. Disadvantage to him. Winner will get Manarino, took out Kecmanovic from Serbia in straight sets. Karatsev. I like the way Ruusuvuori was playing because he was hitting the backhand so well. Even against Sasha Zverev, he's able to hang in those rallies, going backhand to backhand. Usually, when you have a great backhand, you can just go cross-court backhands hard against anyone on tour, and you can hit it at a high level and hit 20 in a row and not sweat missing it. Like, that's a really big advantage. And Karatsev, that's one thing he has that's very useful. I also think with Karatsev, the fact that the tour now is not as fun as it used to be, right? You don't have the huge crowds. Guys like Pospisil, they've had a great career, and they've had a taste of all of that, and they've done pretty well financially just from playing at the tournaments. You come here, it's a little higher stress. You got to go further to make less money than you would have made in the past for maybe not even doing as well. Like I said, if you win it here, it's way less than what you would have got. So, maybe making a quarterfinal in the past would have got you the kind of money that you almost have to win it here now to get that kind of money, something like that. So Karatsev, he's coming from the Challenger Tour, which is not like a great place to be. You don't get very much money. It's a real grind. You travel all over the place. You're constantly traveling and adjusting. I know the ATP Tour's like that too, but I think it's a little bit more of a grind. And so guys like Karatsev, maybe that's a little part of why he's able to succeed here. And some other players who have more experience, they don't have experience with this kind of a grind and the feelings, the stuff that's going through their heads where they're like thinking, well, maybe I should have stayed home too, like the big three. So Karatsev comes through Kukushmeister, 6-4, 6-3. He'll play Seb Korda or Fonini. I guess they still have to play. I like Karatsev to come through there. I like him to come through Schwartzman again or Manarino, where he will get. Could be Cilic, could be Musetti. Musetti, man, like he needed any help. He's been doing great lately. And then he gets Benoit Paire, who's like, he's kind of playing the way Pospisil was playing when he got Maj, just hitting balls out in anger, not even close to in play. Benoit Paires just like showing up doing that default. Like he's done. He's decided to mentally check out until things go back to normal. Got to get those vaccines for Benoit, my personal friend. Musetti will play Cilic next. That should be a good match. I would tune in for that one. Part of me wants to say maybe Musetti could come through there. But Cilic is really trying hard to find his best stuff. He doesn't seem to care too much about what's going on right now. If anything, he seems almost like a guy who's approaching this like an opportunity to find his game because he was really good only a few years ago. So he's just desperately trying to find that, and I'm sure that's occupying most of his brain space. Fucsovics, Kokkinakis, I like Fucsovics to come through there. Very likely, definitely Rublev. Kokkinakis could do it, but maybe it's still too early in the comeback for him to come back against Fucsovics, where the way he's playing, the fitness level he's got. I like Rublev to come through that whole thing, unless Kokkinakis is just on fire. Fucsovics could do it too, of course. He'd love another. Well, you know what? In their last match, he said, like, I hope I never play you again. He really said that. I think he was joking. I didn't hear it, but I read that he had said that. Anyway, so maybe he doesn't want to play Rublev. They'll come through. It could be Musetti, who could be Cilic, who knows. Let's say it's Rublev. And how about that last match in Dubai where Karatsev takes out and saves the Federer fans, stops the streak at 23 matches for Rublev. That's one record that no one will take from Roger Federer. How about Karatsev beating the countryman and not looking like it bothered him mentally too much, whereas maybe it was a little bit on Rublev's mind. That's a weird thing. You guys are joking about the secret weapon. It's all fun and games until the secret weapon shows up on your doorstep. Anyway, so they could play again. Really hope Karatsev, Aslan Karatsev, is like my favorite player now. If this guy gets some more wins at Miami, we're making a Karatsev song. Like, that's the next thing coming for sure. Okay, bottom quarter, Shapo and Ivashka. Who's going to come through? No one knows. Hurkacz. Okay, maybe he's fine in his game. I didn't even bother watching Hurkacz. He's been in a slump for a while. I guess I'll have to start watching him when maybe he'll play Shapo. We'll watch that. Ugo Humbert looked good to me. The little bit I saw him playing against Yao Souza-Palooza, he was angry out there today too. He had some issues out there. Raonic comes through. Tomo, easy. Jordan Thompson. Demon Hour looked like the court's playing pretty slow. It will speed up. It's playing pretty low, too. The weather conditions make for slow. It's humid, Demon Hour's ball looked like it was really tough to hit through on the court. Even though he hit such a flat ball, maybe the low bounce would help him, but it didn't. It's kind of like there's a reason why Nadal struggles in Miami. The ball doesn't get up as much, and that humidity stays kind of low, and there's not a lot of zip on it. But it will speed up here a little bit, maybe even more than Key Biscayne. At least Federer seemed like that with Federer in 2019. The Miami Gardens edition of the tournament. Galan gets through there. We'll play Sonego. Nishikori and Tsitsipas. That's a must-see match. Hopefully Nishiki's feeling good, feeling healthy, and gives us a great match there. I like Tsitsipas to come through that section, or Raonic maybe, or Ugo Humbert. I really like Ugo Humbert. I'd love to see Ugo Humbert beat Shapovalov. Again, he's done it before. So who do we get? We get Karatsev beating Tsitsipas. Karatsev seems tougher to me than these guys mentally. Tsitsipas should beat him, but I would love to see that. And then on top half of the draw, Medvedev will win unless it's Yannick Sinner or maybe Ruusuvuori. Ruusuvuori. All right, we'll hang on to that draw. Those are some hot picks for you. We'll see if it all comes true. I certainly hope it does. Let's talk about the mustache. Danny Medvedev, world number 2, says his new mustache, this is from Eurosport. His new mustache might not last beyond the Miami Open. Well, it can't. It's just for now. It's a special occasion. He arrived in Florida with a new mustache for the ATP Masters 1000 event, having been made top seed. No updates. It's raining, Matt. Why are you looking? Having been made top seed after Djokovic pulled out of the thing. That's a pretty big deal. It's a special occasion for Meds being number 1 seed at a Masters 1000. Even though the viewership is down 90%. Just an estimate, folks. We'll see. We'll see what I'm watching. I'm not a normal person. I like tennis too much. I have a problem. Last year, in the beginning of the year, this is Medvedev. This is a great quote. Last year, in the beginning of the year, I was doing a photo shoot, and they were shaving me for the photo shoot. And they shaved here, and they shaved here. They shaved here, but they didn't shave here until the very end. They were shaving me for the photo shoot, and they just left the mustache for a few minutes, Medvedev told reporters after Friday's win over Taiwan's Yin Tianlu. I was like, it's not too bad. was a little bit different because they had special shavers and stuff. So I think it was looking a little better. Since that time, I always thought, okay, one day I'm going to do it for fun, for one tournament or something like this. I will have mustache. So probably after Miami, I'm going to shave them off. But for this tournament, it's going to be like this. Let's see what the people say. That's what Medvedev says. Well, I'm a person, and what I say I love it. And honestly, with the big three out, we needed something. Medvedev, that's good. Tsitsipas, that's great. The Miami mustache, that's what we needed. That's a little extra. That's going to keep me tuned in. I think people will I think some people will literally watch a little longer because of the mustache. Let's hope Medvedev keeps winning and the mustache gets bigger and bigger with every win. And maybe somebody could get on a ball and send him one of those special shavers from the grooming and makeup people department. If you love tennis out there and you work in that industry, send one of these special shavers to Medvedev. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. All right, so let's look a little closer at something more important about Medvedev. And this is the latest from Craig O'Shaughnessy, the official tennis brain of the ATP Tour. I guess that's a good thing to be. I guess it's a compliment. And I don't have the whole thing here. I just have the numbers. He's talking about how it's a double threat. And this is from earlier. This is from like when the Australian Open was still going. But I think it's worth taking a look. A lot of these numbers are from ATP. Not Cup, the ATP World Tour Finals. They changed the name so much that I'm forgetting it. So beware of that, ATP, with your branding. But he did so well there. Obviously he won the tournament. And these numbers compared to backhand statistics of everyone else in the field, top 8 players of 2020, it's a pretty good field. The backhand makes less errors, does more damage. It's that simple. It's one of the most reliable shots on tour until you face Novak Djokovic in the final of the Australian Open. Then it's not quite as reliable, but it's still pretty amazing. And in a world like Miami, the litmus test, in a world without the big three, which it's kind of weird. Maybe it would have felt like it was even closer last year. It's almost like the freezing of the rankings and the COVID. It's kind of frozen us in big three world a little longer than we would have been maybe, or maybe it's hurt them. Maybe they would have done more winning. I guess Federer definitely wouldn't have with the knee surgeries. But who knows? It's a weird thing, and I'm starting to think more about the world without the big three. Maybe it's just the pandemic getting to me. But this stuff is going to be important in that world without the big three when Medvedev is able to beat a lot of people with these kind of numbers, especially off of the clay. Medvedev went unbeaten at the ATP Cup, defeating Schwartzman, Nishikori, Zverev, Berrettini. And Medvedev's backhand was a big reason why, as he struck more than double the number of backhand winners his opponent. The average opponent in the ATP World Tour Finals hit 8 backhand winners in a match. Medvedev, 17. So more than doubling. But let's look at unforced errors. Think of an unforced error simply as a loose shot. Craig O'Shaughnessy puts it great here. This is why, if you ever wondered, where do unforced errors come from? Where do babies come from? They happen all the time, babies, unforced errors. Just as much from a lack of focus and concentration as it happens from poor footwork and preparation. Medvedev had precisely the same amount of unforced forehand errors as the other opponents, the other top 7 players of the year from last year, 42. Everyone else on average had about 42, but he had considerably fewer from the backhand side. Why? Because Medvedev's backhand is a machine. The average error rate on the backhand, 66 for unforced errors. That's got to be from the whole group stage, 4 matches. I don't think anyone's hitting 66 backhand unforced errors in one match at the top level of tennis. So from the whole thing, 44 for Meds, and on average, everyone else 66 from 3 matches in the group stage in the round robin. Forced errors, same thing we see. So there's a forced error is like if I hit a serve, you float it in the middle of the court, I come up, I crush my forehand as hard as I can at your forehand, and you miss because I hit a great shot. That's a forced error. I forced you with my big ball to make an error. And while, again, he's about the same on forced errors, how often he misses because of a great shot on the forehand side compared to the other top players in the world, on the backhand, he's comparing the average of 31 backhand forced errors to 57 throughout the group stages of the World Tour Finals last year. So that's almost like half, not quite half, a little more than half. But if you go really big at the Medvedev backhand, he usually finds a way to get it back in more so than the other top players in the world. So that's pretty impressive stuff. And then they go on to cite how at the Australian Open, he was even more effective on the backhand. This was right up to the point where he plays Rublev, I think. So there you go. When you watch, and Craig O'Shaughnessy, he had a great thing at the bottom. I don't have it printed out here, but he said, don't watch the shot. It's not the most beautiful shot in the world, but know that it is one of the best shots in the world. So when you see Medvedev hit a backhand, don't look at it like you're watching Roger Federer hit that beautiful one-hander and say, oh, wow, it's such a sweet backhand. Watch how deep the ball goes, how low the ball is, and how the opponent reacts to it. Then you may appreciate the beauty of the Medvedev backhand a little bit more. So try that next time you're watching. Novak Djokovic backs his friend Vasek the Popsicle as tensions rise with the ATP Chiefs. We played a lot of this for you earlier. Djokovic had a statement about it. This is what he says. Concerning matters at hand, I am not in Miami. However, Vasek Pospisil is my good friend. Kind of sounds like Del Potro. And I empathize with him wholeheartedly. Players on tour would agree that he is an individual of the highest integrity who cares about the well-being of his fellow competitors. Djokovic has got to take his back. They're working on the PTPPA thing together. The article goes on to say, this ongoing battle between a collection of high-profile players and the ATP has the potential to develop into a significant split in the game, with the Joker and the Popsicle clearly united in their belief that the ATP could be running the game more professionally. And then in the next paragraph, they say that this situation could explode in the near future. And I think that maybe there is something to that. A lot of players are very angry. Is there going to be like a strike? Popsicle would love that. Maybe Djokovic would like it too if they thought they could change things and make them the way that they want. But I don't know. This seems like the worst time to do this with the pandemic. You're playing the game you love. Rublev was out there saying he's very grateful to be playing right now and having. Now he's winning a lot, so it's a little easier for him to say that. For the players who are losing all over right now, like Benoit Paire, it's definitely not a lot of fun. But I just think this is a bad time. It's a bad time for them to go out and say that we've got to get more money as tennis players while everyone is struggling around the world with all kinds of stuff related to the COVID and the way their country, wherever you live, is handling it or not handling it, whatever. So to me, it's bad timing. Okay, one more thing. We'll get out of here. Hit the music. I'm gonna try to care about this Miami Masters. I do. I enjoy watching the tennis no matter who's playing, but Roberto Bautista Agut is right. Without the big three here, without Team even, with seeing so many high-profile names skip it, it does feel less important. But it's a chance for them to grab some rankings points. Andre Agassi, who ruins everyone's game that he touches. It's like the Midas touch, but the opposite. He weighs in on the GOAT debate and actually makes some good points. Agassi says, it's different to say who has the best career, and it's different to say when somebody is playing at their best, who is actually the best. We have the best on fast grass courts right now with Roger. We have the best on clay, obviously with Rafa. And we have the best on hard courts. There's multiple surfaces. They can play each other 100 times, and I will give you the answer. So he's saying it's not done yet. Then he goes on to say why he stopped coaching Djokovic. He said, I wasn't helping him. My reasons were because I believed that it was best for tennis if somehow he could get the best out of himself, and then getting to know him and his family, I had a desire to help. My goal is to help you, but if I'm in your way or stopping your process, interfering with your process, then it's best I step out of your way. But I can't necessarily subscribe to the choices that you are making. He said that they didn't agree on the approach to tennis. Agassi would say, I think you should do this. Djokovic would say, I disagree. So, I mean, obviously, that whole thing never worked. Djokovic pretty much only lost matches when he was working with Agassi. But good on Agassi to confess. We will be back as much as possible throughout this tournament, and we'll try to have a good time. Let's have a good time with this tournament, okay? Let's get through this car ride and have a good time without the big three. See ya!